Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Dr. Quack's House Calls. I'm Dr. Quack, and tonight I have the PPF Resolute Champion, the Gunslinger, Tommy Ford.
How's it going?
What is going on? Thank you for coming on here.
Absolutely.
Definitely, you hear me okay?
I can hear you just fine.
All right, perfect. Yeah, I just wanted to double check that. Tell the viewing audience about yourself. Tell them how you got started in the promo world.
Well, there's a company out there that, some are familiar with, but for some that are not, it was ran by Jose Bazaldi called BTB. And that's where this all started for me. That's how I met Old School. That's how I met the Rising Sun. That's how I met Jacob Carney, aka Brett Jacobs. That's how I met a lot of the guys that you see in the HHE, a lot of guys that you see in the PPF. Most of them have came from BTB, and that's where it all started for me. I was young, just like Jacob. We were both starting out real young, and then it just led up to PPF, and now I'm sitting here as Resolute Champion.
All right. Question for you though, because you were talking about you started in BTB, and there, of course, there's the war going on between BTB and PPF. Where do you side on it? Because I know you're a part of the heavy hitters over there, HHE.
Yeah, so my loyalty is to the HHE, and that might be a shocker for somebody, but you know what? For me, throughout the duration of my whole promo career, it's always been, could I ever win a championship? Could I ever win when it really mattered, per se? And there's been a lot of doubters throughout the years that have pretty much have said, could I still be able to keep up? And I think that with the resume that I carry, I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but when you look at my resume, I think that it kind of speaks for itself. I was the first ever internet champion. Me and Brett Jacobs, we headlined BTB's first pay-per-view called Phoenix, and we tore the house down. I mean, it was a 30 days of silence match. And, with going into that first match, I didn't know what to expect because, facing Brett Jacobs is no easy task for anybody. And whenever it came out that I ended up winning, it was a total shock to me because I was like, oh crap, I won. And then after that, I got thrown into a light heavyweight championship tournament at the last minute. Went through the whole tournament, won that. So if you really think about it, it's like, where does my loyalty lie? It lies with the HHE. They're the ones that have stood by my side. They've always stood by my side. They've been there for me when no one else was. BTB wasn't there for me. What did I do with BTB? All I did was go in, win maybe one or two championships, and then I left because I saw right through what was going to happen through the end of it all. And that wasn't something that I wanted to associate with. But then the HHE came along, and ever since I stepped foot into HHE, we've been a cohesive unit ever since. But that's just who we are. We've been doing this since day one. So whether everyone hates the HHE or not, you just got to respect what we do and how we do it. And we might sound cocky, but honestly, when you back it up with confidence and you look across the landscape of who is in the HHE, myself, the Rising Sun, who is the unified PPF champion. You have Old School, who is still the reigning BTB World Heavyweight Champion. You've got AA Aladonis, who is the Junior Heavyweight Champion. You've got Brett Jacobs, who is the Pure Champion. So we're all champions at the end of the day. So I would say to the BTB boys, you got a lot on your plate because we're coming.
I
We've
mean,
made our we made our presence felt, but now they're about to get the full effect.
yeah, it definitely looks like a dominant faction there. I mean, everybody's got gold there. I mean, that's a lot to be proud of there. But I want to move on from this because I'm curious because Last month, you went to Halloween Havoc and were taking on Dak Snow, regarded as one of the better promo artists in the world, in the promo game. And you took him out there. Some say because he was sick, he really didn't stand much of a chance, but he brought it to you.
He did, yeah. Going up against Dak, um, before before you joined the roster and everything, we actually had, because me and Dak are both from Oklahoma, so we had a battle of Oklahoma to see who was truly better out of the two. But going up against Dak Snow yet again, even at Halloween Havoc, it's no easy task. When I when I slouched on him the first time, I found out firsthand that I shouldn't slouch on Dak Snow, because in the split of a second, in the snap of a finger, everything can twist and turn and go in a totally different direction. But for me, it's always fun going up against him, because you always want to bring something more, so that way it not only pushes you but also pushes him as well. So that's what I try to do. I just try to bring out the best in him, and I know that he tries to bring out the best in me. So that's what creates a good match, and that's what it should be. You shouldn't just go into an opponent expecting to, just dog walk or mop the floor with them. No, that's the respect factor. That's why we have opponents. That's why we have hypes, to build stories. And with me and Dak, that story's already been written, but we just create a new chapter every time we face.
Yeah, I mean, because that was a close fight. Here, let me ask you this. How important are hypes to you?
In my opinion, hypes are what build the story to your match. So if you want to know, or you want someone who may be watching for the first time to discover you, they don't just want to discover what you do in a match promo. They want to see what or who your opponent is. So they're going to go to you specifically, say, and they'll go to a match promo and they're like, who is this opponent? Then they see, if you post hypes, they'll see the hypes building up to the story. Then you see your opponent hype, and then you'll see the story going back and forth, back and forth. And that's what creates a good connection with not only a new fan, but to others that are watching, because you always want to gain something out of who your opponent is. You want to be able to not only tell the story, but get creative with what you're doing. So I think that hypes are important. Um, I don't do as many as I normally would want to, because of how my work schedule is laid out. But in the sense, I think that, to me, in a general answer, hypes are what build the story up to your match.
Yeah, I mean, because you guys have an impressive story now, because going into Thanksgiving here on December 1st, it's not only going to be you two, it's going to be the man who ended up losing one of your brethren there, Malice, is going to be fighting in this triple threat. A man who lost to the Rising Sun over there, going for the unified title, and now he's got another shot. How does he add into this equation?
I think that with him having that loss against the Rising Sun is actually a motivational tool for him. So he's on the hunt for another title. But I'll say this: the last time that Malice and I faced off, I wasn't at what I really wanted to be at my 100%. But now, with me being the Resolute champion and him added into the picture, it's finally time to show him who I've become since we last fought. Because going back, I really wasn't on my A game as I was that I should have been. So going into this match at Thanksgiving, am I looking to win? Obviously, that should be every champion's goal. But with this being a triple threat, it's extremely tough, because you have Dak Snow, you also have Malice. So could lightning strike in a bottle twice? I mean, I'm going to say kind of yes, but also it's like you don't know what you're going to expect. So, but for me, the only thing that I can do is just give it my 100%, like I did at Halloween Havoc. But what I'm trying to do now is I want to top what I done at Halloween Havoc.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a high standard to meet, but I'm sure you'll have the opportunity to do it. Um, is there a chance where Malice may go, you know what, I'm just going to lay down for you, and or try to help you out in retaining your title? Do you feel like that could happen? Or do you think he wants your title?
He wants my title. I think that with him, I think that with him suffering that loss to the Rising Sun, just put a light bulb in his head that now that he's facing me, he's like, oh, well, here's another opportunity. Now it's my turn to really show what I can do and turn this up a notch. So I think that he's gunning for my title. I don't think that he's just going to lay down that easy. It's not going to be that easy for him. He's going to bring 100%, just like I want Dak and Malice to bring it 100%, because I know I'm going to. So I just hope they're ready, because Thanksgiving is right around the corner, and this title, I hate to tell you, fellas, is not leaving my shoulder anytime soon.
All right. I mean, it's pretty wild seeing guys in a group that are together fighting each other almost on a back-to-back show. Now we're seeing this, and you got to talk about your other member here, Double A. He now has the golden ticket towards another member of your faction there. How do you feel about that? Like, battling each other here in a group.
Honestly, we don't like it, but it creates a good story to let other people know, especially the newer ones that are coming in. This is how you get the job done. This is what it takes. This is how we can get you there. So it's a learning step. It's a learning process for everybody. But as someone as part of a faction and a brotherhood and going up against a fellow brother, and not once, but twice and three times over, and, nonchalantly again and again and again. But, you know, we don't necessarily like doing it, but if it creates a good story and we make something happen, then I say, why not? Just because we're in the same playing field doesn't necessarily mean that we're just going to lay down for other said brethren. We're going to make sure that we bring it our 100%. And we're here to prove why we are at the spot we are. And we didn't just lay down that easy for anyone. We gave it our 100%. And you're about to see it at Thanksgiving.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, speaking of Thanksgiving, let's run down some of these matches, because there's two guys that are not in your faction that are fighting for that number one contendership. Big Money Brock and myself. How do you see this going down? And who would you rather fight?
Well, I've already fought Big Money Brock, and obviously you see how that turned out for him. I
I
mean,
do see
I've
that.
got the Resolute Championship, and he doesn't. So that alone speaks for itself. I think that he needs to go back to the drawing board. I just don't think that this Big Money Brock aesthetic is really sticking with him. He needs to go back to Chess Rockwell. That was where he thrived best, was with Chess Rockwell. But honestly, I'm always been the one throughout my whole career to push other people. I've always been the one to poke the bear at the upper level guys to really push myself. But if I had to pick between Big Money Brock or facing you, I would want to face you, because that will give me a challenge and we would be able to work a great story.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. Let's look down here, because we got Juan Legacy Rosario taking on Captain Law. A little bit of rivalry, a little bit of heated rivalry there.
Yeah, Captain Law's been here in the PPF for quite a while. He's had some ups and downs. I know that his most recent stuff happened when he was No Limits champion. Um, I think that that's where he finally turned on that light of, oh crap, I know what I'm doing now type stuff. And I'm not saying nothing bad about Dale by any means necessary, but there's a long stint of him just, he would get there, but then it was kind of meh. He needed something more. But then his most recent stuff with the No Limits championship run that he had, he was able to really do some of his best stuff as a No Limits champion. But he's got to go up against Legacy. Legacy's no easy task. Legacy's been here quite a while, so he knows what he's doing. There's some times where, yeah, he does mess up. But at the end of the day, I can't wait to see what these two bring, and I hope that they put on a good show.
Yeah. I mean, what do you do when you get frustrated, when you're sitting there trying to do takes, of a match, and you're like, I get tongue tied, how do you take care of that?
I just take a step back and breathe, because you can't think logically when you're frustrated. So for me, I just take a step back, I breathe for a few minutes. Sometimes I take a 5-minute break. Doesn't help. It doesn't hurt to take a 5-minute break and then come back to it. But for me, I found out the best way to get rid of that is just breathing. Just step back a little bit, breathe, calm down, group it together. But I also go back and watch where I messed up at. So that way, whenever I go and reshoot, then I know exactly where I stumbled at and how I can correct it. So I think that it's just everyone has a different process, but that's just how it's worked for me specifically.
Okay. We got the unhinged Babel over here, the PPF hardcore champion, taking on Sheamus there. How do you see this going down?
Well, the unhinged Babel is officially back. And David, if you get rid of that gimmick, I'm going to come back there personally and just slap you across the face, because that's been some of your best stuff we've seen since you've been here in the PPF, has been the unhinged Babel. Don't get rid of it. Please don't. You're the unhinged Babel. Keep continuing to keep being that, and you can take the hardcore title to new heights. But he's going up against Sheamus. Sheamus is someone that is a dark horse competitor here in the PPF. So this match could go either way. If Sheamus and Babel can put out some good work, then it's going to be neck and neck. But I think I do see Babel retaining his title, because now that he's got the hardcore title, he's got something to work for now. So he's going to make sure that he's going to push himself to keep it.
Okay. I want to talk about one more match here. I want to talk about the junior heavyweight title. The no DQ must be a winner. Double A taking on the Man. I know you're partial over there to Double A, but how much of a chance does the Man actually stand in this? I mean, because they fought hard.
Yes, they did. Honestly, if the Man can come out and do his best work, I just think that Alex is just white hot right now. Double A is just. So, and I'm not saying this because, he's a part of HHE, but the Man, I've competed against the Man before, and he's put out some great stuff. I'm not talking bad about the Man. The Man could shock us all. He can make me eat my words, and he could say, you know what, I proved you wrong. And you know what, I hope he does. But in the same time, he's got to know what Double A is bringing to the table. And Double A is no slouch to nobody. Ever since he's won that junior heavyweight title, he has been proving why he's the junior heavyweight champion for a specific reason. And he's not here to play any games. And if he says he's going to do something, he's going to make sure that not only does he get his story out, but he does exactly what he says he's going to do. So it's going to be close, but Double A is going to retain.
Okay. I mean, because that match is not a 4-minute match. That is a 3-minute match. It's a whole 25% of your normal promo cut off. Do you think that has a factor into it?
I do think so, because these men both, now they can really see where their work is really at. I mean, I don't have to say anything bad about Double A, because everyone knows that, Double A, he puts out amazing work. So I have no problem, because I know he's not going to go over the 3-minute threshold. I know that the Man has a little bit more to say, and that's fine. I just hope that he keeps it within that 3-minute threshold.
Definitely. Malice over here, I can't show it because it's on the other page, but always a class act referring to you. I mean, there's a lot of respect there between the members.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And Malice is one of those guys where he's outstanding to work with. No matter if you're working with him or you're in the locker room chilling, he's always a great dude. And we've had a lot of fun competing against one another. So it's going to be a lot of fun whenever myself, Dqhc, and Malice get to compete for the Resolute title. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Definitely. If you have any questions, by all means, ask them here. We've got the Gunslinger, the Resolute champion for PPF, Tommy Ford. Definitely, he will answer them. But I'm going to move into some WWE because I want to talk some wrestling with you because, Promo World is generally a fan. That's where it kind of originated from, pro wrestling. It went right here. The Endeavor merger with WWE, how did you feel about that with Vince McMahon now leaving completely? How did you feel about that?
It made no sense. And
Why?
here's where I'll tell you why, because when you look at WWE as a whole, they didn't need to lend on a bigger company. They could have just had what they had, and they could have went and done their own thing. Now, am I honestly don't know where I feel about this issue because I haven't really followed it enough. I can go by just what I've seen personally, throughout, like, Bleacher Report or Sports Illustrated or things like that I followed up on. But honestly, though, without Vince running it, I think that now they can go in a direction where they can be okay with letting somebody else take the reins, and possibly, since Triple H possibly is going to be running the whole shtick, I guess. But with him in full effect, and him and Nick Khan, um, now will I say that they will develop top stars? I mean, LA Knight's a big
He's a big
thing of
deal.
that, because now he's in the position to face Roman for the title. But if they can capitalize on the momentum that LA Knight has right now, then I think that this is just for me personally. But if you want someone to take the title off of Roman, because we all know, I don't know if you heard this, but Roman's about to take an absence.
That's allegedly what's came out.
Yeah, so if you want someone who's already on top, B, who has a lot of electricity right now, the best guy to take the title off of Roman, personally, through my eyes, is LA Knight.
I mean, you don't feel the Cody Rhodes story, coming around at Mania?
I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
um, I do, but at the same time, though, if they're trying to make sure that that Roman stays champion, then they're going to do by anything's necessary. But they can also create another story on top of the story they got with Roman and Cody, and add in LA Knight into that mix. I think that would be a pretty good story. But at the same time, they're possibly going to have. Well, they're. I already know possibly. I'm saying possibly too much, but it's a you never know type of situation until it happens. But I think that it's either going to be either LA Knight or Cody that takes the title off of Roman. But if you want the completed story, then you got to go with Cody, and then have LA Knight fight for the title after Cody wins it. That's just the logical possibility there.
Okay. Now the Tuesday, do you watch AEW?
Yes.
So you catch both ends of this with the NXT and all that. Which one do you watch live more often?
I tend to watch AEW more than I do NXT, only because whenever I'm about to go to work, AEW is like one of the first programs that I see on TV that's actually on TV close to the time where I have to go in, because NXT, I'm sorry to say, but I've seen here and there about what they're doing, but I tend to watch AEW a little bit more than NXT. Not saying I don't watch NXT, but I keep up with AEW a little more.
Old school over here with the WWE poop
Blue
cheese.
cheese.
We'll say poop cheese on here. That works. But yeah, I get a lot of frustration from both sides. I mean, that Tuesday night war, everybody was kind of shook up on it. I mean, neither one of them hit 1 million views. Could you tell why that would be, in your opinion?
Honestly, in my opinion, ratings shouldn't be towards fans. I feel like that fans should just enjoy whatever product that they want to watch and stick with that. It should never be about what rating got what specific rating on another. We're just fans at the end of the day, so we can't control the ratings. We're not getting paid to do this. We're literally just sitting there watching either WWE or AEW. No matter what side that you're on, you tend to watch a product because you're drawn to it. So with me, after I seen AEW on TV, after watching WWE for so many years, it was just something new for me. But if I was in that position, I would say, the reason why they didn't hit over 1 million views is probably because they're trying to compete with one another and trying to take jabs. But it's all in fun. Who isn't going to take a jab at another rival company? You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I just think that as fans, who cares about the ratings? We don't get paid to do this. We literally just get paid. We literally just sit at home, turn on the TV, and that's what's on. That's
Pretty
it.
much. I mean, me personally, I don't watch today's product. I generally get the cliff notes from all the dirt sheets out there because it's so much easier. Who has time to sit around for an hour? Most people only have time for 5 minutes or less. That's what
Right.
I've learned. But here's a question from old school. My question is, who is the one person who helped the promo realm the most in your career?
That's a good question. I would say, and I'm not trying to say this to pat his back or because he's watching, but honestly, it's old school. And the reason I say that is because whenever we're gonna go back, we're gonna jump back to the BTB scenario here. So whenever I was in the light heavyweight championship tournament, it was my first time competing for another title that wasn't the internet title in quite some time. I think it was a stretch of like maybe a 3 or 4 month span. And he was the only one that was like, you know what? You have a shot to win this. You're going to win this. Go out there and get it done like you done at Phoenix. And I was like, enough said. Wiped my hands clean, went through that whole tournament, won, and I congratulated. I thanked him personally, and I've always thanked him ever since because if it wasn't for him in that moment, I don't think I would have won that tournament. Honestly, with the talent that was stacked in that tournament, I don't think it wasn't designed in me to win it anyway because I was a last minute entry into the tournament. I wasn't even supposed to compete in it, but I was a last minute entry in that last minute entry, and then I won. But I think that old school is the one that I should be thanking that helped me where I am now because he's always been there and he will continue to keep being there. And school, I want to say thank you for doing that for me because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be sitting here right now.
Definitely. I mean, a lot of gratitude there shown. I'm going to ask a couple more questions here. I'm just curious. Sting's announcing his retirement, and Ric Flair comes out there. You saw that. What was your favorite Sting moment? Oh, hold on. There you go. Always got it back. Got your back.
Exactly.
I called that. Go ahead.
So my favorite Sting moment, um, I know I'm a young cat in a lot of people's eyes. I'm only 27, so I'm still young, but I've went back into the archives and watched a little bit of like back in the day stuff. But my favorite Sting moment has to be whenever he came out with the Wolf Pack and was a part of the Wolf Pack. I just think that for me, that's what gravitated me toward that moment. I still go back and watch that moment to this day because if you realize, whenever he was the Crow Sting, you just saw him with the black and white face paint. That's all you saw of Sting.
Yep.
So whenever he donned the red and black face paint, it was something new. And I was like, oh crap, Sting has a new set of face paint. That's awesome. Let me see what's happening with this. So for me, it was just an epic moment because you had Kevin Nash, you had Scott Hall, but then you also had another group of talent that necessarily wasn't, they were on TV, but they weren't pushed to the top per se. So it was something different in the eyes of the wrestling world. So to me, that was one of my favorite Sting moments.
Definitely. I got one more here for you. Talking about Vince McMahon coming out here today during the Tyson Fury boxing fight and coming out and saying that Saudi Arabia is now WWE's home. We've all noticed that there's more pay-per-views going internationally. How do you feel about that, like as a fan?
I mean, as a fan, I can't really specify a feeling. I mean, when you look at it, WWE has been to Saudi Arabia like more times than I can count on my hands. So, I mean, but is it really like their house? Because if you think about it, the UFC also goes to the Middle East for their events as well. So, to me, I don't think that it's their home, but I do think that with them going to Saudi Arabia, it creates a different aspect of, hey, WWE is here. And it's not like that the fans in Saudi Arabia don't know the product, because obviously they do. And they're there and they get a raw reaction from it. But I don't know how I feel about what he said. I mean, yeah, have they went over there quite full times? Yes, but also the UFC has as well. So I can't really put a pinpoint on a specific answer. I just know I kind of feel meh about it, I guess, because at the end of the day, I don't really care, where they do their pay-per-view. It could be in someone's backyard, just as long as it's at least somewhat decent and it's halfway entertaining, then yeah. But meh. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think that they own a specific country. If you get what I'm trying to say.
I do. Vince is cuckoo. He's not even majority owner, so he can't make that call. That's old school. And I got a question here from a fan. This is Steph. It's on my other page. I might have missed this, but what is the death hold on the belt? What is with the death hold on the belt? I love the discussion, but really, or is that his belt? You want to show the fans up close that Resolute title? Show them what it looks like. Explain to them.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So here is the
upside
PPF.
down.
There we go. Here is the PPF Resolute Championship right here. I'm going to go from this way across.
Mm-hmm. Good looking title.
Oh, yeah. There we go. It's got the PPF logos on both of the side plates. And it's real real floppy leather too, so I love it.
It bends pretty easy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It fits perfect on the shoulder.
Definitely. Here, I'm going to ask a couple quick fire questions before we get out of here. Any advice for any new promo artists joining?
Yeah, my advice would be, if you're wanting to get into the game, before you decide to cut your own video, think about what it is you're going to do, name your character, what you're going to say, but also if you're going to come in as, because you know how in wrestling we have faces and we have heels, and that's how we like to play it out in the promo aspect of it too. You have a face and you have a heel. You have a good guy or you have a bad guy. So not only that, but fit what works for you. I've seen a lot of guys that have stepped foot, especially the newer guys, and they try to copy off of other people. It's always like a copy and paste, a copy and paste. Do what fits you. Study. That's all I got to say is study your butt off. Go back and watch The Rising Sun. Go back and watch the Brett Jacobs. Go back and watch the old schools, the Malices. You can learn a lot from a lot of people in the PPF.
Be original. That came out there.
Indeed, yes. What old school said, be original. We don't want anyone coming in and, being like a copy and paste of somebody else. But that's just me. So to the newer guys that want to get into this game, study your butt off. Just study, watch, and do what works for you.
How many Funko Pops do you have back there? Do you know?
I think the last time I counted, I also have some like right over here to the right, or to this side. Well, no, it's not technically this side because this is a wall, but over here on my dresser, I have more. But I would say there's probably about 60, 70 on that wall.
Ooh, God.
Yeah.
That's
a lot
of a collection there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm proud of it.
But since we're getting ready to celebrate Halloween in a couple days, what's your favorite scary movie?
The Texas Chainsaw Massacre has to be the top for me.
That's a good one.
The 1974 version. I don't like the newer. I mean, I like the 2003, but it was kind of meh. It was cheesy, but the classic has always been my favorite to watch because not only was it a great story, but just the blood and everything in it created something awesome. So always got to go with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Okay. Well, you hear it here, folks. You got the PPF Resolute Champion, the Gunslinger. Thank you for coming on. I want to wish everybody a happy Halloween. And our next guest will be coming out November 1st. It will be former Pure Heart champion and former tag team champion, Fear the Beards, talking about the American Roughneck coming on here. I'm Dr. Quack, and we'll see you next time.